All right, I'm not gonna have a break. I'm just gonna focus on the progress on the wood here. The cat RAINSHED, Friday 10/35, 21 seconds, year 2023, 7th month, 14th day. So much for having a 20-minute break. I mean, it's the goal, but it didn't happen. So anyway, this is what I got going on, and the neighbor provided Treasury prepaid wood. She said she got a bunch of wood, and some of it she said she doesn't really need it. So she gave me some, I call it Treasury prepaid wood. Anyway, so I was able to really put a lot of finishing touches on some of the main structure frame that I wanted to. She popped some over the fence. She came over and knocked on the door. She said, "Would you like some of this wood?" And of course, I was very hesitant and very slow to it. When it comes to people giving me stuff, that's when I can really just go slow now, because the system was all based on giving something an expectation for a return. It's called Indian giving. That's the way the system runs. And all these benefits that are out here, all the benefit programs, that's how it functions. Because at the top, at the Vatican, everything is considered a grant. That includes all business license, all university master's degrees, because a grant is something that's given that can be taken away. In other words, I gave you something, now I expect you to do something for me. And that's the bully way. If I can talk someone into accepting something from me, now there's a psychological expectation. Well, fucker, I gave you something, now I need you to suck my dictionary. Or I need you to bend over for me, I need this and I need this, and if you don't give it to me, now I have the social excuse in front of all the rest of the tribesmen to beat your ass. Because I consider you now a non-contributor to the society I created. I can see how all the ins and outs, how it functions. So I got no problem going real slow when it comes to someone giving me stuff. Very slow. So she ended up, I got to the point where I felt it out. I was feeling it out. And so I'm thinking everything through with what I know going on with the elite and the mind control and this and that and stuff like that. And, so finally it got to the point where, I'm just sitting there, so I grabbed one board she had in her hand in the front yard, and then she said she could go back to the back, and she'd hand it over the fence. So I got all these 10 foots. I got 10 foots and 8 foots, and I got practically every single one locked in here, ready to be secured. I got them all placed in here where they need to go for all the support that I want. So that's really the main way I started this video, which turned into also an analysis on what's going on with me in relationship to the society that I'm living in. So look at this. I got them, I just got them all in place. They're not nailed down or nothing. And so there's this one that I put in. There's one over here that I put in that I need to cut the beams a little bit more to get it fit in. There's this main one right here. This is the main one that I wanted to get in, because all I really wanted was just one more. Next thing you know, I got more than what I needed. It just, it was a natural universal attraction or, all these different philosophies that they're out there, magnetic universal attraction or law of attraction, the secret, it could be this, some call it Jesus provided, God provided. I've lived with these terms. There's all kinds of things. And then there's this expected thing in the society. Well, you should at least said thank you. You should have at least said thank you. And the way that I live, I know that the word thank you is a catchphrase too. And I can go all into explaining it. So I just learned just to roll with it, But I'm saying is that I get really slow when it comes to people giving me anything, because this gets into it. the system, how it runs, which is through assumed jurisdiction. Everything is assumed. Assumed control. It all ties right in. But anyway, so here it is. So this is real wonderful. So, like I say, I'm starting to see more and more. Everything that I need everything that I've ever needed so far with this little place that I've stayed, it always ends up being right in the backyard. Right in the backyard. I see this time and time again. Even the wood came over from the neighbor's fence. It came right into the backyard. And the neighbor said she overheard me over here, whatever, working over here or saying something or whatever the heck. But I wasn't expecting any wood from anyone. Even when I saw the truck coming down the street and I noticed they were unloading wood and all that stuff, I was thinking to myself, oh, that's their wood. That's the wood that they need for them. I wasn't thinking, God, I think I might want to go over and talk the neighbor out of some of the wood or see if she got some extra wood or buy it from her or whatever. None of those thoughts ever enter. And if they enter in, I immediately, consciously, I put it in a certain place and say, okay, just sit right there for a bit. I am going to thoroughly examine you before you cross the border into this brain and body. Because this is going to be a border invasion I can see. All these thoughts, I call it, captain's watch, thought watch, and body watch. I've trained, but anyway, so I'm getting into more theories and thoughts and stuff, but I really want to just stick to this video is just progress on the cat rain shed. That's really all it is. That was the main gist to this video right here. And so, I was able to get more of the roofing up there. I got this old rusted stuff that I just placed up there for placement stuff. Well, it's rusty on the other side, so there it is. Rusty on the other side. And this stuff right here is the same size stuff, but it's more metal and less rust. So I got those up there. Now I just got to pull up all the nails that are holding the other ones down and then slide these under and then nail them down to these truss that I got, some of them that I got up, and then the truss that arrived via the neighbor. Via the neighbor. And I always like to say, what if and could be if the neighbor was controlled through the high level surveillors, knowing that I get controlled too. I don't want to speak for the neighbor or say that the neighbor is. I always like to say, what if? Okay, the watchers. I call it the watchers. And I've had lots of experience that I've been watched and provided for. I mean, there have been some situations where I know I could have just been easily just fucking taken out. And I wasn't. I wasn't. But that's just stuff that I know. I could say it till I'm blue in the face, and it's still just a story to anyone else. Until all that transparency and ESP high-level technology, coming from, higher intelligence, some call it God. I like to call it extraterrestrial. That's the best thing I can say for now. It's just, when I say extraterrestrial, really, it's just the predominant bully atmosphere that's in the atmosphere. When the elements come together, there's a certain bulliness in the air. Really what it all gets down to me. So, I always say what if and could be. The same controller that I know that's probably been as a what if and could be, that's been controlling me in situations as I'm growing up, could have just as well pressed a certain button and bzzz, and this is the shit that just fucking brother Jason, when I really start talking this shit, God, it sets him off to a no end, because then he sternly says out, there ain't nothing that controls me. Nothing. I control myself. It's all me, myself, and me, and that's it. He doesn't really get into it, that stern, but when he gets, when I notice, I've been around twice now when he's been drunk. And he wasn't that drunk. He was, drunk enough to where, he's just kind of going slower than usual. Talking slower than usual or whatever the hell it is. But, it really comes out when the alcohol is there. Now it's, the passion or the rage is stronger than usual. He doesn't really go really violent with his words when he's talking to me. so far. But it comes out to where it's kind of like, how dare you say anything around my presence? How dare you even bring that up around the county board meeting table? Because that's all any conversation anywhere to me is ain't no different from public witness. The tribe getting together instead of hiding individually, thinking no one's going to know how I talk today. That's why I talk about all this transparency technology that's out there, all this ESP technology, where I know even at high level governments, they know that it's there. But I can't prove it all the way. I'm just quite certain that there is technology that's being used at high levels where they surveil me, they read the thoughts going through the mind, they read the electrical impulses going through the body, they know how to travel in the time, go back and forth between time, they know how to astral travel and all the other technologies that are talked about that I've heard on YouTube. So when I talk on all these things, and then I bring brother up, and I guess that's the main point right now. This is what totally sets brother off. And I don't think it's just brother. I think this is probably the predominant point of any conversation with a lot of people out here, a lot of different living organisms that, in their mind. And I always say, that's cool. I'm just saying what if could be. And that just kind of sets it off even more. Oh, no, it ain't no what if could be. This is it and this is it only. In other words, that's what the bully is. You better do what I say or else I'm going to get your ass. I mean, that's really, it comes from the same mindset, the same to me, So, in other words, this is just the story that I share when I look and I see what's going on. It ain't no different from me sitting at the county board meetings down there at the local court and standing up and sharing what I know is going on. But yet at the same time, there are other living organisms there within earshot, and they can allow themselves to get so offended, they're ready to secretly contrive some type of conspiracy and have me shot out in a field somewhere where no one's looking. Or whatever the fuck. Because this is where offense usually goes. In other words, there's a war on, and it's going to be a secret war, and I'm going to get you when you're not even looking. I'm going to get you when you're less suspecting it. All because I brought up, the what ifs and could be's that could be going around. Just because I brought it up. Oh my God. And I was expected to have never said anything. I was supposed to have been shut up. I should have remained shut up, never said that. In fact, it's expected in this society to not say certain things. And to me, that's where I say, no. No bully. No child. I ain't going to be controlled by you, child. In fact, come on. Why don't you come on over here? Eventually I get to it. Why don't you come on over here to Mama's tits and have you a nice comforting drink? Fit thrower, little tiny little fit thrower, I'm affectionate. I like to be affectionate with it. But, sometimes it comes off rough and stern. Sometimes. But, it just gets right down to it for me. I've had enough experience with this stuff. I got no qualms just being very clear with it. No qualms. Right here from the favorite spot that I like to radio from, in the midst of all ears listening, all around. And I know there's all kinds of ears listening. And to me, this is the county board meeting discussion that's not allowed down there. Well, it hasn't been allowed down there at the courthouse where they gather, in the controlled environment where they got all their guns and weapons and cops and sheriffs and everything, that if one wrong move is made, someone's going to be shut down, because they ain't going to be allowed to share anything, because the system is not based on sharing anything. It's based on, do what the fuck I tell you to do, or I'm going to get you. But it is changing. It is changing. And the only reason I say it's changing is because I'm speaking up. And that's all I need to know, is that I'm speaking up. And when I look around, I start sensing that there's some slow transition. And to me, it's a slow transition. And for anything to expect to be changed overnight just like that can be quite detrimental. Quite detrimental. And it ain't no different from all these cities like Chicago and Portland. Well, this is what I get. This is exactly what I draw a conclusion from all what's going on with all these cities. They're all in a ruckus. It's because what I'm saying. They've been listening to what I'm saying. Now they're looking for an opportunity to twist what I've been saying. They're saying, "Oh, so you think all this stuff is a bunch of shit?" And da 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 da. No, I'm not saying. And I've told them too. I said, no, it's not all a bunch of shit. We need to get rid of it, and we need to get rid of it right now. I've always come along, and eventually I say there needs to be a transition. So they're twisting everything that I'm saying and using it to rub it in my face, and using it to go out there and cause violence, so that all the other listening ears around will look at me and say, Russell, you should have just shut up and not even brought any of this up. So what they're doing is they're letting all these big cities go to shit on purpose. They're doing it on purpose, knowing that a nice transition, a long, gentle transition is the best way, but they're using it as an opportunity to be self-destructive and destroy everything. Then that's exactly what a little child bully does, especially when it's being exposed. It gets self-destructive, and I know exactly what that's like, because I've had self-experience being a little child, a little bully. And I remember when I didn't like what mother had to say to me one time, and I took some of these wonderful drawings. You know, I drew when I was a kid. I could draw fucking nice, wonderfully, detail, all kinds of shit. and just to spite her, I would instantly, as the child little bully, how dare she say anything like that or treat me like that, I became self-destructive. And I took those drawings, I ripped them up or crumpled them up, threw them right in the garbage can, and hoped she'd see them right then. So I I got self-experience what it's like to be a self-destructive little bully. When I you know, when I hear someone say something or be a certain way or whatever the fuck. Yeah. So anyway, and I like to keep it just centered around who I am, the things that I affect, the things that I say, the things that I share, especially knowing the lean position that I've put in. The rebuttal, the affidavits, the registered mail, and how I speak in the air pretty much everywhere I go, especially around here in this house. But you know, if I see someone out in town, you know, sometimes I go overboard with it because that's a bad habit. But usually, you know, the thing is, well, they don't really want to hear it, you know. But and so I somewhat restrain. And then I go through experiences with that too. I could go more into that. How all of a sudden when I keep talking, I can sense I'm getting shot with fucking rays, electronic impulses that are causing the body to feel adrenalated. Adrenalated, yeah. It's a diversion, a distraction, an interruption for me to continue on. If I was to continue saying on what I'm saying, I feel the electrical impulses being aimed at me and shot into the body to totally distract me from sharing comfortably what I know that I want to share, even though when I bring it up, the guy that, like I had an experience yesterday at the tax office. There was a guy, he started the conversation with me. And so I started talking to him about the money system, and it got to the point where I told him something that naturally flowed in the conversation. It was a natural flow in the conversation. I didn't go out of the way to share this or nothing. I said, yeah, I've been looking into the system. It's called the Treasury prepaid system. And as soon as I said that, he was hit with a blast of energy from somewhere, and he totally bowed his head and shut up and would not look at me no more. He ended the conversation right then and there. He didn't want to hear it. So to me, that was the bully that was talking through him to me. And the bully did not want to hear once more, especially publicly in front of there, because there were people in there. This is publicly in front of people. The bully that was controlling him didn't want to hear me. Didn't want to hear what I had to say, and that was his way of saying, "Shut up." The bully's way, not the guy that I was talking to, because I know what's going on in the system. There's a whole lot of mind control going on. I call it electronic demon possession. There's something else speaking through a lot of living organisms all around me, and they speak through me too. The bully speaks through me too. Yes, I'm mind controlled too. But I'm learning how to come out of it more and more and more. And it's a slow transition. Although there are leaps and bounds, and there's such thing as quantum leaps, but for the most part, common sense tells me bad habits just don't go away overnight. It's a slow transition to transition off of all these electronic, electromagnetic, digital control frequency power lines and the radio waves. All the stuff that I studied that I know that's going on with the stuff. It's a slow transition. If all these power lines were just be knocked down just now and all the radio communication just knocked out right now, that's no different than what they got going on in some of these cities like Portland and Chicago. They're letting it go to shit and knocking it all down right now. And they're doing it on purpose. Just so they can show everybody, see, it doesn't work, folks, it doesn't work. Just so they can get all the people, including me, but yeah, they're even looking for me. But this is what I see going on. So they can get all the people to say, oh yeah, we need to go back on electricity. And not only that, we need to stay on it and stay on it forever. And we need to stay on it forever with all the mind control whip antennas that the military are using to mind control and send the frequencies. That's the only reason that I know of. I'm saying what if and could be. I'm not going to say it's for certain. I'm going to say that's a big what if and could be. And I'll just leave it at that. This is what I know is going on. But to me, it's just, I could be wrong. But when I observe and the things that I know, it's natural for me to share the things that I observe and I know. And that's the county board meeting that I bring right here from this place that ain't going to be allowed to speak up down there. That's for damn sure. It ain't. It's going to be shut down in a heartbeat. Until there shall be a day, though. There shall be a day. I see the day when it shall happen too. But anyway, this is some good information as far as I'm concerned. I think this is wonderful radio. This is all natural radio. All natural radio. Coming right here from this backyard. And as I've been talking all this stuff in the past, and getting more information become more clear and more clear and more clear. I mean, it was a struggle for me to get it out because all of a sudden, all these feelings of anger, just anger and passion and just all this shit that wants to come up for how I was done wrong, the bad habit, it rises. But I'm learning that as time, progresses, and the more that I sit with this stuff, the more I audit it, the more I cut it out, the more I self-assess, the more I look to improve more and more, there are steps and strides that I'm improving in. But every once in a while, I'll go off the handle and I'll raise the voice. Just big time, in a very passionate and sometimes rageful way. Yeah. I ain't totally perfect. I'll get some rage and anger in there too, man. Get right in there with the best of them. You know, as far as I'm concerned, rage and anger is the same strength in all that want to participate in it. Rage and anger has the same strength in all that want to participate in it. No one's really stronger than the other. You know, although on the battlefield there might be, you know, different things here and there and there and there. But, you know, because people are trained differently, and, you know, one guy can easily, you know, with the same passion and anger and rage, you know, take out the other guy, or through a big struggle in a fight, eventually there'll be a quote unquote the competition winner. But to me, you know, all living organisms have the same capacity to go full strength on the rage and anger, no matter who it is. Especially when a living organism, or let me just put it for me, especially if I'm put in a certain situation where I thought it was that I could never go there, where I thought I could never go there. For instance, first thing that comes up is when I got married to this girl, she had a son. And I thought, and I had, you know, put in the brain, I'm never going to spank. If I ever have kids, I'm never going to spank them kids. I'm never going to become violent with them. Never going to, you know, punish them severely. And the wife, the girl that I married, she told me, she said, I need to go spank this kid. She said I needed to go spank this kid. And so here I am, now I'm married with this girl, and I'm thinking, oh, fuck. So I went and I spanked the kid. Next thing you know, one spanking led to another. One spanking, and they got more brutal. They got more brutal. And then I realized, fuck. Oh my God. I did the thing that I thought I wouldn't do. In other words, I became ragefully angry when I thought that I would never. And all of a sudden it was total surprise. Just caught me off guard. I was like, holy fuck. That was my first introduction that I am not immune to being just as propensity and violence as what would be considered the worst murderous, adulterous, rapist, molesting criminal rotting in a fucking prison cell. I realized I got that potential too. It's in there. Wow. What an eye-opener for me. What an eye-opener for me. And it could happen at any time. Especially with the way the society is set up. And even at that, if society became wonderful, and this atmosphere was wonderful, the opportunity to still go there exists, as far as I'm concerned. For me to go there. Even if I'm living forever, and the atmosphere is like just totally wonderful, all of a sudden I could just go there. I'm living 100,000 years, just wonderful. Everything's around, all of a sudden just bam. But anyway, so that's another video. I'm gonna pull a finger on that one and till the next video. I could tend to just go on and on. I got so many things to share, on and on and on. And it's almost like I need to. It's almost like a forever event to me. I mean, I'm thinking, God, when is all? I'm wondering, is there? It seems like to me, instead of putting it in a question, so I can get a little bit more control of the anxiety, put it in a statement. I'm wondering, is there ever going to be a moment where I'm going to be at least fully satisfied, having to explain this energy in me that wants to explain what's been going on and what I see going on, and then that goes to the next thing, you know, past, present, future. What could be going on and coming up? Is there ever? I'm wondering, God, I'm wondering if there's ever going to be an end to that, or is that going to go on forever? And I'm thinking, well, forever's forever, and there's always going to be something coming up. There's always going to be a past, and there's always the moment now. I'm thinking, just thinking it through right now, I'm like, God, wow, I think it seems like to me it's always going to be there to be able to be dwelled upon, no matter what. Holy shit. Now that's some shit. Anyway, pull a finger.